So let's take a look at the new AI-assisted culling tool. And for this little demonstration, I asked my wife to take a number of photos of me out on the balcony. And she basically did everything on burst mode. So we have 353 images here, and that should suit our purposes pretty well. If you click on an image, you'll see here under the culling scores that you get 3 ratings: subject focus, and you'll see on the threshold sliders it goes from 0 to 100. So this is an 81. The eye focus is 100, and eyes are likely open, and this will make more sense once we get into it. One of the things that I do like about this new tool, and it's not apparent, but the auto stack feature is something that could be really helpful. Where this tool really shines is when you're doing a lot of portraits or headshots or images where there's a lot of repetition, similarity between poses, perhaps maybe with different subjects, but this is going to allow you to identify the rejects, because within all those similarities, there's going to be a quality difference in terms of eye focus, subject focus, and a few other things. And one way to kind of break it down is using the auto stack feature. So if I click on that, it allows me to stack by capture time or visual similarity. I'm going to do visual similarity here. And I have a slider, and you can see it started to organize the images based on different poses, different zoom in and zooming out, vertical, horizontal. If you had a number of different subjects, it would break it down by those subjects. So this is a great way to kind of organize, which you can do before or after you do the culling. But just to let you know that this exists. And if I move the slider to the right, you can see it breaks it down into more similar, and as I move it to the left, less similar. So you want to find your sweet spot for whatever your shoot has there. So, and then I would stack them, and it would put it into stacks, which I could then put into subfolders and apply the culling to each one. So I'm not going to do that for this demonstration here, but we're just going to look at all 353. And when I opened the assisted culling tool, took a little bit of time for it to scan all the 353 images and give them that culling score. So that does take a little bit of time, not too long. And so the idea is to identify the rejects. If you were to break it down, the tool is there to help you identify what you don't want, and then leave what you do want there for you to do your manual subjective culling and editing, because this tool is not capable of really identifying your selects and your seconds. It's there to help you identify the ones you don't want. So I'll start with reject. That kind of tells you right there. You've got documents and receipts, misfires, and exposure issues. And then you've got a score here. And it says that there's 4 rejects. And if we take a look and click on the reject tab, it tells you right there that these considered probably misfires. They're not exposure issues, but for whatever it has registered these as misfires. Now, perhaps I want to keep this one. So what I would do is you can hover and then right click, and then I could mark it as a select. And now it removes it from the rejects. And so what I'm going to do here is I've identified the rejects. I'm going to go to batch actions, and this is where it starts to become really helpful. I'm not going to apply a rating to the selected ones. I'm going to apply a reject flag to the rejected ones. And now that I've done that, I can go down here, and I'm going to just click on the white flags, of which I don't have any, and the unflagged. So now I see that I have 350 out of 353, and I'm going to continue on. I'm going to look at eyes open, and I make sure that reject all can't tell images is checkmarked. There's 18 images. It's identified with a closed eye or can't tell. If I uncheck it, it goes down. So I think I want to keep this checked. And you should probably do a quick scanning. I'll just do it real quickly. So if I were to click on the rejects first, and if I go and zoom in and I just quickly go through with my arrow keys, yes, indeed, those images all have my eyes closed. So I'm pretty confident there. But now I would go back to the batch actions. And again, I would apply the reject flag, hit OK. And now I'm going to go back to all. And now we're down to 332 of the 353 images. Now I'm probably going to go to subject focus. And you could probably apply these all at once, but I'm going through them layer by layer. And here there's a threshold. So I probably want to make sure, and you're going to have to check and see where the threshold leaves you. If I put it up to 80, there's 134 rejects. If I leave it at 70, there's 60. So I don't know. For this, I'm going to kind of leave it at 70. And again, I'm going to hit the rejects and apply the batch actions. And I'm going to give it that reject flag and go back to all. And now we're down to 290. And this is where I'm going to start looking at eye focus. If you've done portraits or headshots, eye focus is really critical, but there is a little bit of wiggle room as to what is, absolutely pin sharp and what might be a bit lesser. So it always kind of comes down to what you're going to use the images for. If these are going to be blown up and printed, you want to be very meticulous about how sharp your eyes of your subject are. If it's going to be used on the web small or in print small, you can be a little bit, give it a little bit more leeway. So that's up to you. It's whatever you're using it for should inform you of what your settings are. But this is just what I'm going to suggest. So I'm going to put eye focus first at 90, okay? And now I'm going to go to the batch actions. And this time, I'm not going to give the rejected ones. I'm going to give the selected ones a rating. And I'm going to give it a 2. And you'll see what I'm going to do. Now I've given these a 2. And I have 276 selects that I've given a 2 to. And now I'm going to put the eye focus up to 100. And now I'm going to go back to batch actions. And here I'm going to give the remaining ones a 3-star. And what I have now, if I look at all the images, is I've broken it down to the rejects, the obvious rejects, which have a reject flag, and I can get rid of them when I want to. And then I have some 2 stars in here, and those are not quite as sharp with the eyes, and the 3 stars are what it considers to be 100 or pin sharp. So I'm probably going to go through my 3 stars, look at those, and if I see a pose or an expression or some intangible that makes me feel like this is going to be a select, I'll choose it. If I don't find what I want, then I can go into the 2 stars, which may not be quite as sharp, but at least I'll have some fallbacks in case I need it. This is just a quick run through, but you can see how this might work and how the ratings that you give it can break it down so that you can then continue your culling on a more subjective level and pull out the ones that really shine. But now at least you've managed to use the tool to quickly, I would say, get rid of the rejects. And I will just say, make sure you check your results. This is a brand new tool. There's going to be some false positives. There's going to be some false negatives. So use it, but check the results. And as new updates come along, I'm sure this tool will be greatly improved and also expand possibly its ability to look and rate different types of images, perhaps landscapes and all sorts of different types of subject matter. So hope this was helpful.